So let's get into what Xbox needed, and I'm talking about Halo Infinite, where this game was being attacked thoroughly for over a year. The delay really helped it, and I want to get into why Xbox absolutely needed this win after the flighting that people went through last weekend. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to be notified on future content, hit that small little bell icon. It helps out the channel a lot. Okay, so let's talk about Halo Infinite, a game that's been in the news for quite some time. Not to mention, it's the biggest Halo, I think, coming out in a very long time. Because we have to remember, Halo 5 came out almost 6 years ago. 6 years. So we haven't had a new Halo game in quite some time. So yeah, a lot rests on the shoulders of 343 and Halo Infinite. Because we have to remember, last year when they showed the trailer for Halo and the gameplay trailer, it was really disappointing. A lot of people didn't like what they saw. It got a lot of criticism, and we can all never forget Craig, who has become infamous within Halo. And because of that and the pressure that the fans put onto Xbox to make sure that Halo was done right, they delayed it for over a year, which if you're looking at the numbers would probably cost them tens of millions of dollars. Now, I want to go into what just happened, which was this flighting where they got demos out there and people can play them, and you had kind of like a beta multiplayer versus bots and then against other people. Now, personally, I wasn't invited, which kind of sucks. But hey, at the end of the day, I love seeing the positive outpour on social media from not only the fans, but media types all over the industry. And I wanted to go into why Halo and Xbox absolutely needed this win, especially when you look at last year where Halo didn't launch or show all that well. So let's get into what this article is talking about, and let's also get into what people have said about the game, because right now, this is a win that Xbox desperately needed. So the first one is about the movement of the game. It says that the game had a lot of great tight movement and that it felt a lot better. Here's what the article had to say. Some of the most divisive changes in Halo history came in Guardians, as 343 introduced a raft of advanced mobility mechanics and upended the traditional ebb and flow of multiplayer. For Halo Infinite, the way Spartans handle has been refined. While you're still able to sprint, slide, and clamber, these traversal maneuvers feel tempered, designed to assist you in navigation and positioning rather than act as a central tenet of combat. The removal of ground pound and thruster pack jumps plays a big part in this shift, but overall, Halo Infinite feels like it has struck a nice balance between the feel of the Bungie games and 343's desire to bring Halo into the modern era. Now, that's something I feel has been in contention for a very long time. We all remember Sprint and how there is this big divide of there should be no sprint and there should be sprint. I feel like a lot of people that have played the game, especially veterans of Halo, actually enjoy what they're seeing in the game when it comes to movement, and that the sprint has actually been kind of fixed and that it feels way better and cleaner compared to what the previous Halos have done. And that's where it comes into the combat, because for me, sprint, moving around, ties into combat a lot. And that's what this article talks about. Combat is far more aggressive. It's hard to believe, but it has been almost 6 years since Halo 5 Guardians was released. I didn't realize just how much I'd missed playing Halo multiplayer until I sat down with the Halo Infinite technical preview. It's an aggressive game that rewards decisive action and purposeful movement. The smart scope mechanic returns, letting you ADS with any weapon, but it feels less effective and intrusive in Halo Infinite, particularly in scrimmages with more than one player. Strafing is key to survival, as is gathering the momentum to unleash devastating melee strikes, and keeping your reticle trained on enemies as they leap around you in the air and circle you on the ground. It's familiar foundationally, but Halo Infinite is tapping back into a core style of play that helped define Halo Combat Evolved 2 decades ago. Now, this is where things get extremely interesting, because the combat in Halo has always been front and center. That is the main thing that people loved about Halo. Surge, Master Chief, and all the characters in the story, the Covenant, the Flood, all the moments where we were like, wow, when we first played Halo Combat Evolved. But to me, it was always the mechanics. It was always the gameplay flow and how it felt. How they brought the first-person shooter onto console with controller and did it flawlessly. That's where I see everything changing, where the combat actually feels great. People enjoy it, and that it feels right. It just feels like they took the time to make this game into the Halo that everybody remembers, which makes me think of the classic weapons and how they feel right. That's something that this article brings up. I'm also a big fan of the tweaks made to the starting weapons, the M440 assault rifle and the MK50 sidekick pistol, which give off big Combat Evolved vibes, and their utility even in the face of some of Halo's more domineering power weapons. Now that's where everything becomes pretty cool, because the one thing I noticed about last year where they showed the gameplay showing where people didn't like how Craig looked in the mountain pop-ins, one of the things they never criticized was how the weapons looked and how the weapons sounded. For me, I've always said they carried weight to them. The game and the way that it flowed in the weapons, I thought looked awesome. I couldn't wait to play it. Now, all those new guns that they showed looked great and a great addition to Halo in general. That's where I want to see it. I want to see new guns, I want to see old guns, and I want to see how they feel when I play them. That's the whole point of Halo. Like I've said, it's the gameplay core mechanic, which is the shooting. That to me is where everything will stand out above the rest, because there's a lot of shooters out there. COD, Destiny, Battlefield, Apex Legends. There's so many shooters out there that feel great on controller and mouse and keyboard. I'm wondering if Halo could pull it off where they feel just as good. And from what I'm seeing during the demos and all the beta testing, a lot of people enjoyed the way the guns felt and how they were running around feeling like it was old Halo, but had a new twist to it, which brought it into the modern age. That's what I think is great. Now comes the strong core loop. Plenty of people are talking about Halo, and for me, the big loop of Halo is you play some single player on Legendary with your friends, and then you always revert back to multiplayer. And that's what I did with Halo 5 Guardians. I played the campaign, but we always went back at the end of the day to multiplayer to close out the night. And it's something that this article talks about here that has a strong core loop. Instead, Halo Infinite feels like it has tapped back into the foundational trinity of the series combat: weapons, grenades, and melee, with the assault rifle at the center of it all. The MA40 is great in close and mid-range entanglements, particularly when combined with smart grenade placement and the aggressive movement to get within melee striking distance. The core loop of Halo Infinite's multiplayer will feel comfortable to any of you missing the Bungie era. Now that's a pretty big name to drop there, because Bungie is what people think is the pinnacle of Halo. And yeah, Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, they were some of the best multiplayer experiences on Xbox ever. And it was really at a time where multiplayer gaming was really coming into console gaming and making it a core foundation for gamers. And that's where I think people forget, is that Halo at its core is the story, is Master Chief, but people love the multiplayer. It's what made it into what it is today. And I love Halo's multiplayer. I play it all the time when it comes out, and I play it for a few months. Am I one of those people that continuously play it for years on end? No, because that's just not what I do. I usually switch games up, I go to different multiplayer games, but Halo at the end of the day was always there. It was always a core of people's gaming, and that's what it feels like now. And that's what they're trying to say, is that the game loop of Halo Infinite is extremely strong. That's the whole point of this. If you have a good loop of gaming that people can keep reverting back to and get different experiences from it, that's where you'll become something different. That's where you'll change the way people play this game. And if you noticed, Halo Infinite is free now. It's going to be free for multiplayer gamers. If you want the single player experience, you're going to have to either get Game Pass or buy the game. But for multiplayer, that's where I want to see where this thing is going to change, because making this game free changes the foundation of Halo. There's no more like buy-in. Everybody could come in. It's free to play. That's where I want to see where Halo can go with, because being free won't divide the core audience. People won't have other maps and all this kind of stuff where they can get paywalled on. No, that's not what's going to happen. And speaking of the maps, which is one of the last things I want to talk about, the maps are pretty solid. This is what the article has to say. The maps only got better throughout the Halo Infinite technical preview weekend. We started off with Live Fire, a fairly mundane asymmetrical arena that offered little in the way of verticality or variance, better suited to free-for-all than Team Slayer. Recharged arrived shortly after, offering more opportunities to exploit enemy positioning and better power weapons to play with, but their rotation still felt a little off, a map that would surely excel in objective-based nodes. And then there is Bazaar, and what a fantastic little map it is. It felt purpose-built for the 4 versus 4 chaos that only Halo can produce, a map that gives me faith that 343 could deliver something to the quality of iconic arena maps such as Hang 'em High, Lockout, or Guardian in Halo Infinite. Here's hoping that the next Halo Infinite technical preview will give us a look at some of the larger vehicle-equipped maps. And that's what I think people kind of forget. Maps are a big part of multiplayer. For me, Call of Duty maps, they're okay. I've kind of gotten a little mundane with them. I don't think they're really putting a lot of effort into making the maps more unique. But for me, the top games that bring out great maps and great leveling is Halo Infinite and Battlefield. Battlefield, for one, is on a different level. They make maps that are like 18 maps in one map, and it's this huge battle. But for Halo, they always did focus on smaller maps that had this 4 vs 4 chaos that people are talking about, or what the article mentions here. And they're starting to introduce vehicles. That's where the big thing comes in for me. That's where Halo Guardians kind of stood out. I love the vehicle maps. I love the Warzone. I love all the big maps that they had that really took things to another level. And that's what I want to see in the Halo Infinite tech demo, or when Halo Infinite releases. I want to see what kind of big maps they have, because I'm a big scale gamer. I like fighting in big battles. I loved it in Guardians, and I know I'm going to love it in Halo Infinite. I want to see huge fights. I want to see vehicles whipping around. I want to take them out with rocket launchers, kind of like we saw in the tech preview or those demos they showed during E3. I want to see all that cool stuff happening in front of me, because that's what it is. I like seeing awesome warfare. Do I enjoy the small 4v4 or 6v6 maps? Sure, to some extent I like those, and I play them with Rainbow Six Siege or Counter-Strike, all these other games. But for Halo, I want to see them take that next level, introduce bigger vehicles, introduce bigger maps, and I want to see that in Halo Infinite. And that's what I really think Xbox needed. I think they needed this Halo Infinite tech preview to really shine out. And it did. A lot of people loved it. All the previews you saw, everybody enjoyed their time with the game. That's where everything is going to make Halo Infinite a better game in the long run. Because sure, they were testing computer parts. They were testing everybody's consoles. It was a beta through and through. They wanted to show people the game, but also test it on their end so they could get better performance. I mean, I heard that PCs didn't have that great of performance because they're still going through all the video cards and optimizing them, which is great. That's what this technical preview is for. It gives them 4 months to get this right, or 3 months, however long they have until the game releases. But at the end of the day, I love seeing everybody be so positive about the game. The story behind Halo Infinite was always the mountain pop-ins and all the way it looked kind of terrible. But now it's amazing looking. People think it looks completely next gen. They love the way it played, and they love the demo they got to see in it. And everybody that played it was raving about it all over social media or in videos on YouTube. You go look it up, and most of the people out there are completely positive about their experience with the Halo Infinite tech preview, except for the people that couldn't get in, like me. And so we're kind of salty in the corner over here, a little annoyed. But overall, I got to say that this is exactly what the Xbox Series X and Xbox needed in general, was for Halo to show out really well, because it's the biggest franchise they got, bar none, and it's going to be the biggest game coming out this year. I'm sorry, but like I said before, with Horizon Forbidden West getting delayed and all these other things getting delayed, all these third-party games getting delayed, Halo and Xbox has a really big shot at really taking over the gaming industry at the end of this year and dominating the news cycle, because we all know when Halo comes out, everybody pays attention. But enough of what I think about all this. Tell me what you think about all this. Did you get to play Halo Infinite, the flight testing? Did you enjoy it if you did get to play it? Were you not able to join and were kind of salty like me? Does this get you more excited for when the game is going to release? Can 343 redeem themselves after a lot of people didn't like their last Halo 5 campaign? Do you think the campaign is more important than the multiplayer? Or do you think the multiplayer is more important than the campaign? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there. So get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I'm playing a bunch of Sunset Overdrive. I'm playing a bunch of Warhammer 40k Battle Sector and Far Cry 5. I'm playing a lot of games. Oh, and on my Series X, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm going to be playing Hades. So I'm kind of switching between my PC, my Xbox Series X, and kind of just staying within the Xbox ecosystem. And I've been playing a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. So yeah, a lot of games, playing with my friends, and, you know, throw in Rocket League when I'm playing with a couple other of my buddies. And there's a lot of gaming to be had. And I just finished in one sitting Omno, which is an awesome small little indie. I recommend everybody check it out. An easy 1,000 gamer score, but hey, that's not what I was there for. I was there for the awesome experience, the world, the biomes. I just had a lot of fun exploring and doing the small little puzzles it had. And it was made by one person, which is astonishing. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, go check that out. I've been playing so many games. I'm having so much fun right now. I think we're in the golden age of gaming. And as the weeks go on, even more games are going to come out, and I'm looking forward to each and every single one of them. So let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on your PS5, your Xbox Series X, your PC, or are you playing something else on your mobile game? Let me know down below, because that's what we're here for, is to talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.